Good morning, everybody. This is episode 62 of the 476ers podcast. We're going to talk about yesterday's Wizards-Sixers game, so stay tuned.
Yo. Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my
Good
mind.
morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 62 of the 476ers podcast. This is your host, Brian. You know what it is. We're going to talk about yesterday's Wizards game. I am coming live to you from my quarantine station here in North Philadelphia, where COVID has ravaged me, over the last 2 weeks, and where I still have COVID. So I will be spending a lonely Christmas here in the apartment. Not to depress everyone. I don't mean to depress people, but I want to give a shout out to my son. Merry Christmas to him, who's the greatest. He's the GOAT. I'll see him after Christmas, probably after New Year. COVID is real. Please take it seriously. Also, I want to shout out to one of my close friends who just had a baby yesterday. Was hoping that he would be born on my birthday. My birthday was Sunday. And he wasn't, but we were close. So that's all that matters. Anyway, to the point. So the NBA season has kicked off successfully. Successfully is that's a relative term, considering that the Rockets didn't play yesterday. They had to postpone their game in a very embarrassing. Listen, the more time, every single day when I wake up and I read more things, the less that I want James Harden on this team. It is really, and as bad as Toby played yesterday, and we'll get to that in a second. God damn, I don't want to bring that into this locker room at all. It's just cancerous. It's a tumor. They got rules. My man broke the rules on Monday before the season started. He just broke the rules on Monday. He went out to this party, and I get it. Listen, I get it. COVID is stopping a lot of regular life from happening. And, apparently, according to him, a friend of his, a female friend of his, started a business or something like that, and there was a grand opening, and he wanted to go and show love. So I understand. I do get it to an extent, except that with every other headline, it's like, oh, but James, I don't believe you, though, because every other headline looks to me that you're just being difficult to be difficult because you don't want to play there. So successfully submerging my fantasy basketball team. You know what I mean? Essentially is what he's done. So anyway, with that said, that's not important. Let's talk about the basketball game. Successful start. We played the Wizards. Well, where should I go here? Good or bad? Good or bad? Let's start with the good. Joel Embiid. Where else do you go from here? Listen, if your intention is to be an MVP in the NBA, yesterday's game is exactly how you do it. Players, all the best players, all the greats have learned this at one point or another. This is how you become great, right? Is you realize that through the first 3 quarters of the game, you don't coast necessarily, because he didn't coast. You essentially assert your will at given moments, find ways to fill gaps, and then in the fourth quarter, it is your time. You know what I mean? It is your time. That's how you win games. That's how you become MVP. That's how you get voted first team All-NBA. That's how you won all those things. And based on his comments, there was a story that Jackie McMullen, God bless her soul, wrote, talking, with a ton of quotes, Sixer stuff, talking quotes from Ben, quotes from Joe. Last year was a shit show essentially, but Joe was apparently upset that, he essentially was okay with AD getting voted first team on NBA, which I'm not okay with because he wasn't a center. So whatever. First team All NBA center. Joker, he said was debatable that he had a better season, but Joel, it's not a debate. I'll tell you right now, it's not a debate. You can argue numbers if you want. That's debatable, but you can't argue wins. And then in the playoffs, you can't argue Joker's playoff performance then solidified it. It made it clear that he deserved to be on an All-NBA team list ahead of you. And then he was upset about Rudy. And I get it. I get why you'd be upset about Rudy, except again, they had a better playoff exit. Their playoffs were better than our playoffs. And because of that, I think it makes it it makes it easier for guys to be okay with it. But I do understand that either way, last year was so miserable. If you're the guy on our team, the numbers don't matter that much. There have been a million guys who've averaged 20 and 12, don't make the playoffs. I mean, Boogie is a testament to that. Boogie's done that his entire career, and I love Boogie, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So because of that, you're always going to fall behind guys who are doing better, when you have the talent. Now, of course, there's a million reasons why, it didn't work out, but ultimately, it is what it is. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But yesterday was huge. You know what I mean, for him. Joel, he finished yesterday. What did he finish with? And which honestly kind of shut me down. He only shot 1-3, which he made yesterday. He finished with 29 and 14, I believe it was. Oh, whoops, wrong computer. He finished with 29 and 14, I think it was. Hold on one second here. Where we are, points. 29 and 14. And even more than that, and I took some notes for you guys here because I wanted to exactly see what that fourth quarter looked like, to confirm what we already knew was happening. At one point before Ben comes into the game. Ben comes in the game at the 6-minute 41 second of the fourth quarter. Now, here's the thing. We've been screaming about Joe being out of shape, and got to give this man credit. He played the last 11 minutes of the game. You know what I mean? The last 11 minutes of the game to close. In that 5 minutes and 19 second span, he was playing with Furkan. He was playing with Seth. He was playing with Shake, and he was playing with Mike Scott. He essentially scores 13 or 15 points. And he assists at one point during one run, he scores 13 of 15. He assists on 18 of 22 points. The final total is he ends up scoring or assisting on 20 of 40 points total in that fourth quarter, which is incredible considering that the first 3 quarters of the game, we only scored 73 points. Do you know what I mean? And then we scored 40 in the fourth quarter. That's pretty fucking remarkable. Our offense was so terrible in the first half of the game, and we're going to get to some of the reasons maybe why. And then, so not only that, so then Ben comes in at the 6:41 mark. From that point on, we scored 25 points. We only scored 2 more points though until Toby comes in. So from 6:41 to 6:04, we scored 2 points. Then Toby comes in. The final 6 minutes and 4 seconds on the floor is Toby, Shake, Ben, Seth, and Joe, and we outscore the Wizards 23-13, and that's huge. That's huge. That's huge because I said that I don't know if Seth should be starting. I don't know if Seth can close because he doesn't play great defense, and because we need someone that can break down the defense, and I don't think Seth is that. And we'll get to that in a second. Oh, well, that's B. I'm sorry. So A, because of the defense. B, because I wasn't sure how Seth could really do. And Joe scores, through that first 6 minutes, essentially, Joe scores in every single way that you can imagine. Not one, he doesn't shoot 1-3. For those who hate when he shoots threes, he does shoot a few jump shots. He has that one filthy jumper at the top of the key over Isaac Bonga and over Thomas Davis. He has the one fadeaway jumper from the right block against Thomas Davis. Gets a bunch of foul calls, which is what he does. He should have had, I'm going to be honest, he should have had 34 because in the first half, these terrible fucking refs, one of the worst reffing jobs we've ever seen. He has the one 3-pointer that he gets fouled on that they say is on the floor, even though, it just couldn't have been on the floor. It just can't be on the floor. It has to be a shooting foul because they call the foul when Thomas Davis starts crowding Joel during his jumper. And yet they call that on the floor. And there's a second one like that from the left block, which is a 2-point attempt. That same thing, clearly a shooting foul, and they call that on the floor for whatever reason. It's a rip through. It seemed like the refs were very confused. The refs were just confused. The one ref apparently is a new ref. That this was his first game, and it was evident. He was fucking lost. Just the calls were just wild. My man Ish Smith gets swatted in the face by Bertans. I mean, they should have called a flagrant on Bertans, but against Ish, and Ish should have shot free throws for us. Is what should have happened, because and somehow they called the foul on Ish, but also called the foul against Ben. Again, somehow Ish fouls Ben, but Ben also fouls Ish. It's a mess. So the point being, I mean, just the point is, Joe, in that first 6 minutes of the game, and what was great about it was, you've heard me on this podcast scream a million times, I wish Joe would catch the ball and go. And through the first 3 quarters, he wasn't doing that. And it was really fucking frustrating. I mean, I was disgusted. And if you follow me on Instagram, Broad 476, it's at 476ers, I'm sorry. You saw that I posted the shit, here we go again from what's the game where you steal cars, Grand Theft Auto. Because I thought that's what this podcast was about to be. Oh, shit, here we go again. This same fucking trash that we're dealing with. Joe not going. We got Ben and Joe running into each other in the first half. There was a couple plays where for whatever reason, Moritz Wagner's in the game and Joe runs. I mean, Ben is trying to post up on the block, and here comes Joe. I know why. I think Joe wanted to set up the screenplay where he screens him on the block, and then Ben curls around the screen, and either Ben finishes or dumps it to Joe. So maybe that's Ben's fault. I don't know whose fault that was. And then another play where Ben does the exact same thing to Joe almost. It's just a fucking mess watching them sometimes play together. And Joe catching the ball, waiting, double, triple team, turnover, just not making a great play. In the first half, I mean, Joe drove me fucking crazy. A couple plays where he's getting double teamed by Bradley. I mean, he made Bradley Beal look like a first team All-NBA, all defensive player. Bradley, I wonder how many steals Bradley finished with, actually. You know what? That's a good question, because it seemed like Bradley stole the ball 150 times. 4 steals. That makes sense. A lot less than 150 times, but, still significant. And Joe had 3 turnovers. Almost all of those were Bradley steals. Where Bradley collapses weak side on Joe. And instead of Joe flinging the pass to Seth on the weak side, he just doesn't make the right decision. Whatever decision he makes is not the right one. And it's just like, it's a mess. Our half court, listen, Doc said our half court offense was going to be trash. And I can get it, except that in the fourth quarter, once Joe decides to turn it on, our half court offense is fine. You know what I mean? And it's fine with every lineup, essentially. Now, that's a testament to, in some degrees, to how incredible Joe can be when he's asserting himself this way. But it was, it's just confusing. It was just confusing in the first half. So I was talking to Vic. You may know Vic from this podcast. Shout out to him. And he suggested that maybe we should actually that he would bench Toby and start Seth, Shake, and Danny, Ben, and Joe. And during the third quarter, I was like, man, I kind of like that. But then in the fourth quarter, I mean, Danny doesn't touch the ground. He doesn't touch the floor in the fourth quarter. All right? Danny doesn't touch the floor in the fourth quarter. Deserve it. Because we got Bubble Danny. Bubble Danny is here, and he is here to fucking stay. I thought Danny played solid defense, though, in the first half. But, I mean, he just was a nothing on offense. And Toby was nothing on offense, too. But for whatever reason, at the end of the game, we take Danny off the ground. And I guess maybe it's obvious because at that point, our defense is a lot more, our offense is a lot. You essentially have 4 guys, but technically 5 guys based on how Seth played. You have 4 guys, let's say 3, Seth, Ben, and Toby, who are average guys at getting their own bucket, maybe even a little bit below average at getting their own bucket. Then you have Shake, who probably is a tick above average at getting his own bucket. And then you have Joe, who can create his own offense. He's elite at creating his own offense on the post. And I guess, whereas if you replace Shake with Danny, Danny is a 0 at getting his own offense. I mean, he's just there to stand there and shoot. So when guys have to probably stay home a bit on Shake, right? Because it's not just that Shake can shoot. Because if you were only worried about Shake shooting, it's a matter of perfecting rotations. And you're just running out to him, running him off the 3-point line. You're not worried about Danny dribbling. Again, I've talked about this on previous podcasts. Danny dribbling is a problem. For Shake, you're worried about a dribble drive as well. So it's you can't be aggressive on the closeout because he'll drive by you. So you want to stay somewhat home. And then Seth, I mean, Seth played great down the stretch. I mean, I think he scored 4 points. He scored 6 points down the stretch. Two of them were free throws at the end of the game, but there were four points. The one floater off the Joel assist, and the one little jump shot, kind of fading to the right, was a fantastic shot by Seth. A shot that I didn't think he really had. Honestly, I thought that was a hell of a shot. One thing I liked about Seth. Well, let me finish with Joe. So the point being, I mean, this is a game where, listen, the Wizards have a lot of guys to throw at Joe. They have a lot of guys they have not a lot of guys, but Robin Lopez is above average, I think, center, defender at center. Thomas Davis is active, is an active defender. He's smaller than Joe significantly, but he's active and can cause enough issues, can make Joe wait enough for a double team to come. And then Wagner is like a dirty son of a bitch who's also a good defender and will also injure you. So they have guys to throw at Joe. It's not like it was a walk in the park. And what was really surprising, one thing that we should keep in mind about this Wizards team that I saw, was that, let's be real. I mean, this Wizards team was the worst defensive team in the NBA last year. It's the worst defensive team. They were also one of the highest scoring offensive teams, but the worst defensive team in the NBA. And they really played good defense yesterday. And some of that is because our offense was so trash and stagnant in the first half, but they played really good defense. And that 100% has to do all with Russ. I mean, let's be clear. This was the first time I saw Bradley Beal as intense as he was game one. And he's intense as if it's game 50, like they're fighting for the playoffs. He is intense. That intensity is 100% rubbing off from Russ. You know what I mean? And the way they're playing inspired defense, I thought the rotations were excellent on defense. They're playing inspired defense. Their double teams were great. I said this last year. A lot of reasons why teams double team Joe so aggressively is not just because Joe is a bucket in the post. It's because they know that Joe can't pass the ball. You know what I mean? He made some okay passes down the stretch, but they're not afraid of him passing the ball. It's not like Joker where if you double him in 10, like if you send an aggressive double team at him, he's gonna pick you apart. I mean, he's gonna fucking kill you. So it's like Tom Brady against a blitz. Joe is not that. So I thought they played really good defense, and I thought Joe, in the second half, it didn't fucking matter. I mean, he was scoring on triple teams in the fourth quarter. There were a couple where I thought he did a great job where he's on the block, the double team comes from the basket side, and he wraps around into the lane and finishes that way. I think that's a good idea, Joe. Try that more. I like that. I like that because, one, you're going to end up drawing four people, and if you ever get any type of semblance of passing, you can go ahead and pass the ball. Seth, so that's Joe. Joe played fucking excellent. MVP right there, right? That is his argument for any MVP. 29, 14. He had 2 assists, 1 block. Also, it doesn't tell you enough about his defense. Let's be clear, because his defense was really, really good. I thought he definitely, listen, he's not the same defender he was 3 years ago. Where he patrolled the lane. It seemed like his feet just patrolled the lane like a fucking linebacker. He makes a lot of hand reaches and shit like that. But in the first half, I mean, on back-to-back plays, he draws a foul. This is what I meant with filling gaps, where he draws back-to-back fouls on Bradley Beal. One, he draws an offensive foul on Bradley Beal, so that erases a bucket. On the next play, he sets a screen. Bradley tries to run through the screen, and Joe flops. Joe flops is what he does. And draws another foul on Bradley Beal. Like, those small plays, those are the plays that are like, you have dirty work guys, and that's the plays they do. It's very rare that you're going to have any superstars that are doing that play. And Joe did a bunch of those plays, I thought, yesterday. He's responsible for a lot of very good defense, a lot of good turnovers on them. I thought he played great. He played excellent. I thought Seth played really, really well. 13 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. I thought his defense wasn't terrible. Listen, Seth's defense is only problematic because he's too small. He tries on defense. Not that he's not trying. He's just too small to guard guys like Bradley or guys like Russ. We hit him a lot on Isaac Bonga at times or on Troy Brown at times. And, those guys were not really especially Troy Brown. I think Isaac Bonga has some upside to him, but Troy Brown doesn't have a lot to offer on offense. And I thought Seth played well. we're not getting 3-point shooting from our starters. Seth finished 1 of 5 from 3. That is not good. We need Seth to shoot better. This is also part of the reason why I thought Seth might be better coming off the bench, because ultimately, you're going to play against second units and be way more effective. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Whereas Shake's essentially scored on second units. He scored on the first unit. Shake is scoring on everybody. Shake doesn't matter. But I thought that either way, I thought Seth played good. What I liked about Seth was that down the stretch, I thought Seth did I just seemed like Seth was in control. And that is something that we haven't had down the stretch in previous games. You know what I mean? Like last year, it seemed like Josh wanted to do his own thing. Sometimes Ben wants to do his own thing. Al thinks he should be posting up. Toby thinks he should be posting up and doing whatever the fuck Toby wants to do. And Joe should be posting up because it's Joe. And everyone is just discombobulated. I thought Seth did a great job yesterday when not playing outside of himself, just getting a bucket here and there when it's called for. And just did great. Same thing with Shake. I thought Shake did a great job. Shake last year was a little bit more willing to shoot some glory shots when we needed a bucket. And I thought yesterday he showed a propensity to go to more either driving to the basket or trying to draw a foul. He's just a really good finisher. I mean, he's a really, really good finisher. Sometimes just hangs in the air and finishes it over a good contest. So I thought Shake played great down the stretch. I mean, Shake played great generally. In the second quarter, I mean, our offense is absolutely abysmal through the first quarter. We're down 5. Our second unit comes in, Shake, Maxey, Furkan, who did not play particularly well, if I'm being honest with you. In my opinion, I mean, according to his numbers, it is not as bad as it seemed, but watching him was not making me happy. I'll be honest with you. But our bench comes in to Mike Scott, Furkan, and all these guys. Dwight's been great. I'm gonna be honest with you. Dwight has been fucking excellent. But he had 10 rebounds. That's about right. 10 rebounds, 4 points, and 2 assists. Man, he was great yesterday. I'll be honest with you, man. Dwight might be 6th man of the year. I mean, he probably deserves votes if he's going to play like this all season. I mean, playing great defense, just causing havoc and being a jerk to the other team, being the enforcer. I thought he played great. But our second unit comes in. Tyrese played great in the first half. The second half, he kind of struggled. That's when he misses most of these shots. I think he was 4 for 5 or 3 for 4 in the first half, and then he goes 0 for 2 in the second half. Just not great. But during that time, so we're down 5. Our bench comes in. We outscored them by 5, and then our starters come back, and we immediately give that lead back. Then our starters to start the third quarter. We'll just never be good in the third quarter. Starters to start the third quarter, we go down 10. Just completely terrible. We're absolute garbage. And then, whatever, not going great. That's when we get into the fourth quarter, and then we have the bench mob along with Joe and Seth. You know what I mean? And that goes great. You know what I mean? That lineup goes great. So my point being, so I kind of got off topic, back to the Vic thing where Vic said, start Danny there. Well, I was with it, but then we scored 25 points with no Danny on the floor in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter with Toby at the 3. And listen, this is not to defend Toby because Toby was absolutely fucking trash. A fucking trash. You got to get the hard F in that motherfucker because he was garbage yesterday. Just trash juice. And I'll get to that in a second. But it's like kind of confusing. So now we got to just wait and see what's going to happen. If Danny is going to be 1 for 6 in games, I don't know what to say about Danny other than he's going to have to come off the bench because he looks fucking bad right now. It's Danny. Again, no surprise. We thought Danny's going to start shooting good again. He hasn't been shooting really that good in the last 2 years. God damn it, man. I hate depending on Danny. I hate depending on guys like this. Guys get here and can't shoot any fucking more. It just is what it is. Ben played well. Through the first half, I was really unhappy with Ben. I'll be honest with you. I was really fucking unhappy with Ben. It looked like Ben and Joe was really not going well. It was scary in the first half. If you're watching that game in the first half, you're like, wow, this Ben and Joe shit is not working right now. And that is a shame because we know it can work, but it looked like they had taken a step back. And then in the second half, Ben kind of said, "Oh yeah, no, I can't. What the fuck are we doing?" And he just got more aggressive. Honestly, he just got more aggressive in the second half. Um, Missing free throws, he'll be fine. Listen, in the beginning of every year, he's trash from the free throw line. Through the first 15 games, it's not good. And then after that, all of a sudden, he starts shooting like 80%. So I'm not worried about that. I won't be worried about that until a month or two from now. And then if he's still shooting trash, it's like, oh, God damn it, Ben, what happened? Danny's trash. Furcan, not happy with. I like Mike Scott. Mike Scott played okay. Yeah, Mike Scott is just a solid bench guy. Oh, no Matisse. I mean, what are you going to do? No Matisse. It's funny because there was a point at the end of the game we started doing offense, defense. Doc starts doing offense, defense. And for defense, he replaces Seth with Matisse. And in my mind, I immediately am thinking, oh, no. I wouldn't mind this, but Matisse is almost a guaranteed foul. And considering that Matisse hasn't played, Matisse plays better defense when he has 3 fouls than when he has no fouls. Because when he has no fouls, it's like he doesn't give a shit, and he's just going to foul. But when he has 3 fouls, he's scared, and now he's just playing really good defense. And yeah, almost immediately within, I mean, he plays what, like a minute, and he gets a foul. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. He plays like 1 minute and gets 1 foul, I think. Let's see here. I'm sorry, he doesn't play 1 minute. He plays 17 seconds and he gets a foul in 17 seconds. And luckily we have a foul to give because it would have been a foul on a Bradley Beal 3-pointer, 3-point attempt. Yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest. These refs were terrible. That should have probably been 3. That should have been 3 shots. They called it on the floor. Thank God. But that would have been a foul on a 3-point attempt. And yeah, Matisse, I said this about the preseason, he was in danger of playing himself out of the lineup because he has 0 to offer on offense. He has nothing to offer on offense right now. And it sucks. I loved Matisse last year. Obviously, Matisse makes me so happy on defense, but goddamn, I was happy last year because there was the hope of offense from him. It's like, his defense is great. Maybe he can turn into an offensive something, anything from offense. 8 points a game is what we need from him, and then he can be something. And no, he's not going to give us 8 points a game. He's not going to give us 6 points a game. He's not going to give us 4 points a game. He's not going to give us 2 points a game. He's not going to give us a lot of. He's not going to give us 8 point a game. Maybe I don't know. He looks like a problem. Matisse right now looks like trade bait with Toby to get something better. And that brings me to Toby. Toby was absolutely fucking abysmal. Now, listen, Toby is not as bad as this, all right? I'm going to be honest with you. Toby is not as bad as he was yesterday. It's not just that Toby was bad on offense. I mean, he was miserable on offense. Didn't hit a 3-pointer. Was 3 for 13. I don't even remember. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even remember the three shots. I can't even remember. He scored he hit 4 free throws thank God in the fourth quarter. He hits 4 free throws. He essentially is 3 for 10 in the first half, I think. I don't think he scores a bucket in the second half, but the free throws. He gets the free throws. Which thank God, because I mean he just in the first quarter we're seeing too much Toby. You know what I mean? That was the problem. That's the difference between the first quarter and the fourth quarter. In the first quarter, we start seeing a lot of Toby, a lot of dribbling Toby. After Doc said we got to get Toby to stop dribbling, Toby thinks he's fucking Paul George. And he starts dribbling in the first quarter. And that is, as we're watching him do stupid shit, we essentially give up an immediate lead, right? We essentially give them the lead because he's doing dumb fucking shit the whole time. And then in the fourth quarter, he doesn't do dumb shit. He just shoots open shots. He makes one good play where he grabs an offensive rebound, followed by a terrible play where he goes right back up with that offensive rebound and misses. He actually has 2 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. The one I'm talking about is the one off of Shake Milton missing the 2 free throws, which is kind of crazy, Shake. You're a guard. But he hits 2 free throws later. It's just crazy that he mind farts and misses 2 straight. I don't know what we're going to do with Toby. I mean, this contract is so goddamn abysmal. It is not a whole lot. You're going to have to give up assets to get Tony out of here, to get Toby out of here. I'm not giving up Tyrese. I promise you that. There will not be a situation where I say we should give up Tyrese Maxey. It's funny. I was joking yesterday, and I said if you took Toby to the Wizards, if you said let's say you call Ernie Grunfeld, and you say, hey, Ernie, I will trade you Toby for Denny Advija, who I love. I love Denny. I'm going to be honest with you. Denny is so good at basketball. What did Denny finish with? If you don't know, Denny is the Israeli small forward that they have. They drafted him this year. Denny. He finished with 7-4-1-1. He doesn't require a lot of offense. You know, he doesn't require the ball a lot. He's good. I'm telling you right now, he's a good basketball player. I like Denny a lot. I thought he played good defense too. If we said we'll trade you Toby for Denny straight up, they would say no. They would tell us no to that. They would tell us no. I'm almost positive. We can't get Rui from them. They have 4 forwards that are all better than Toby. Denny, Rui, Bertans, and Bonga. They're all going to be better than Toby, probably. I mean, Toby looked really bad. Listen, Toby wasn't that bad. He's not that bad. He's not as bad as he was yesterday, to be clear. But he looked fucking miserable yesterday. Not just on offense, but defensively. What in the fuck was he doing? Listen, off-ball defense is a premium. I get it. Not everyone is good at off-ball defense. I understand, okay? I understand. Not everyone is good at off-ball defense. But Toby, how many times is Davis Bertans going to score 100 points against us before you think you need to stop him? There was one play that Ala Aldanabi, who is just getting almost unbearable at this point, Ala called incorrectly because they go on, they're in transition. Bradley dribbles himself almost to the elbow pretty much, turns and flips it back to Denny. Turns and flips it back to Bertans. Now, Bertans is Toby's guy. For whatever reason, Toby is at the free throw line waiting for Bertans to come to him. And Danny immediately sees that this is a problem, and Danny runs to Bertans. Ala says, oh, Danny's late to close out. No, Ala, no. Danny is rightfully worried about the all-star Bradley Beal, who is a flamethrower, who you cannot allow to score 2 baskets in a row, because if he scores 2 in a row, he's going to score 15 in a row. And Toby is supposed to be tracking his fucking guy, who is stupid fucking Davis Bertans, and is supposed to be aggressively like, oh, we can't let you shoot a 3. Yeah, Danny is late to close out, but it's Danny is late to cover for Toby's trash fucking defense. Off ball, getting crushed on screens, can't stop Davis from scoring. There's one play where I just don't even. There's about 12 or 15 plays you could probably highlight. Maybe not 12. Maybe that's exaggerating. I don't have 12 or 15 plays in my head. I have 8 or 9 plays in my head at least where I'm watching Toby and I don't really know what he's doing on defense. He's not doing anything on defense. There's one play where Ben is guarding Beal. Beal curls around the screen at the top of the 3-point line. Ben gets caught into the screen and is now trailing Beal by a foot, a full at least 2 feet behind Beal at that point. And Toby is standing on the right side of the lane, not inside the lane, but right on the line of the right side of the lane, just sitting there looking at Bradley as he finishes a layup. He doesn't any good if you are playing basketball and the basketball is within 10 feet of you, in the circumference of 10 to 15 feet within you, you should be scared, right? You should have some sort of anxiety to you. You should have your feet moving, your hands should be out, you should be ready to tip passes, you should be ready for anything that's going to happen. Not with your fucking hands by your knees, watching like a fucking spectator as Bradley is now finishing just a layup. At the very least, Toby, you could have cheated, you could have faked, shown that you were going to get in front of him and then immediately dove to your guy back at the corner. But not just stand there, and you're not even on your guy at the corner, though. You're not on him. You're not in a good position for him, because if Bradley passes it to him, it's a wide open shot. You're a terrible closeout. You're doing nothing on defense. That is one of the worst Toby games I maybe have ever seen. That might be the worst Toby game since he's been here. You know what I mean? It might be the worst. Just terrible passing. Not a good passer. Again, we've talked about that. He finished with 8 rebounds. Even that's low for Toby on bad games. Usually when Toby has a bad game, he'll finish with 12, 13 rebounds. No, he had 8 rebounds. Active on the offensive boards, except that almost all the times he grabbed an offensive rebound, he tried to go back up with it, or he made a mistake and it was just a bad play. TJ, shout out to him, hit me up and asked me if I would trade Toby for DeMar DeRozan's expiring, and I wouldn't. And the only reason I wouldn't is because, well, I like DeMar. I mean, DeMar is a guaranteed bucket. He comes here and essentially offers a different set of issues than Toby does, which leaves us in almost the same position. DeRozan is not a threat from three-pointer. He's not a threat to shoot a three. He'll shoot one or two once in a blue, even though they blew out they blew out the Grizzlies yesterday. But he'll shoot one or two here or there. And the other thing is he needs the ball in his hands to be effective. Well, looking like Toby's the exact same thing. So you'd be trading a guy. You probably have to give up draft picks because you're getting a expiring contract, which is valuable in the NBA, right? That's a valuable thing, especially for a team who might be making a run. Let's say the Nuggets say, you know what, Gary, you're trash. Gary is not good right now. I'm sorry, Gary, you got to go. Gary scored 40 points in 30 minutes yesterday. Gary, you got to go. We're going to give up Gary and a couple draft picks, and we're going to take back DeMar's expiring. And if DeMar works out for us, then we'll sign him long term, right? Would help take the ball out of Jamal Murray's hands to close games. It would make sense. I've been talking about DeMar to the Nuggets for a long time. I think that's a great trade for them. Or maybe the Raptors trade for DeMar. You know what I mean? To get some extra scoring on that because they need help. They got blown out yesterday by the Pelicans. They have trouble scoring. But for us, I think that would actually hurt us. I think it's more because again, we would have to give up picks for the Spurs to take back Tobias's contract. They don't want to take back a long term. They're in the midst of having to rebuild. They're going to try to move LaMarcus this year. They're going to try to move DeMar this year. They don't want to take a long-term contract like Toby on, I don't think. Unless they're going to get draft picks back. And Daryl Morey, while he did that with Horford, you had to do it to Al because Al was absolute garbage, but his contract wasn't that horrible. You know what I mean? So it made sense that you could do that with Al. I don't think you want to do that with Toby. I think it's more likely that Toby gets traded for someone like Nemanja Bjelica on the Kings, who has a substantial contract and just is really not doing anything for them generally. Just doesn't really offer them anything. Now, you may remember Nemanja because Nemanja left. We were going to sign Nemanja last year, and then he decided to sign with the Kings, or 2 years ago, whatever it was. I think it's more likely that you trade for like Nemanja and a draft pick for Toby. You know what I mean? You get some bench help back. That's when Nemanja will come back and be, which is good. Nemanja would help because then, Joel misses time or Dwight misses time, whatever. You can actually put Nemanja at the 5. He's big and he's like 6'10". And he'd be like a stretch big for you. So, he can help us off the bench. But that's all he is bench help. You're not trading Toby for anything of consequence, is my point. You're going to end up trading Toby for bench help, pretty much, which is fine. Because the way he's playing, if he's like this for a week, I mean, look, Washington is a good team. I think Washington's going to be really good. You know what I mean? I really do believe that. They were the highest scoring team last year without Russ, without John Wall. Well, they got better. They added Russ, and they added a rookie who's really good in Denny, right? They're going to be better than they were last year. So I don't think it's them being competitive against us is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not bad. But Toby, if we have championship aspirations. We don't have fucking 6-seed aspirations. We got championship aspirations. You can't play like this, Toby. It's enough that we got Danny playing like this. You can't play like this, Toby. I don't know where the move is to get where the move is for Toby. Maybe the Pistons realize that they fucked up with Jeremy Grant and Jeremy isn't that as good as they think. And they decide that they'll be willing to flip Jeremy's shitty contract for Toby's shitty contract. Maybe we could do that. I mean, there would have to be more money. Maybe we'd have to give draft picks back. Batum was the perfect one, honestly. That would have been the perfect stupid contract to trade for, except that them getting rid of Batum was what gave them space to sign Gordon Hayward, who scored 27 yesterday. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with Toby. I mean, it's goddamn depressing. If he's going to play like this, I don't know what to say about this fucking guy. I don't mean to come on here and sound depressing, but god damn, Toby was bad. I thought Doc coached a good game, a couple good out of timeouts. I think he got a little bit too much credit. There was that one play that we ran that Zoom off and Ala praised Doc for where Ben was wide open in the dunker spot. That was just we didn't really do anything specific there that allowed that to happen, other than Joel is great, and they were so terrified of Joel that they ended up having two defenders flock to Joel at the top of the key, which left Ben open. If you want to call that a good out of timeout play, then fine. There was one good play that resulted in Shake getting a layup under the basket. That was an out of bounds play. I thought generally Doc coached a good game. I would like to see Doc stagger. One thing, Brett, obviously, we know how we feel about Brett, but one thing I did like about Brett was I liked the lineups. I liked how he staggered Ben and Joe's minutes. I thought that, he would have Joe in for the first 6 minutes with Ben. He would take Joe out. Ben would play about the next 3 minutes alone, would come out. Joe would come back in for like the next 5 minutes. Then Ben would come back in, and then they would both finish the half together usually. And he would just kind of do that where you could stagger the lineups. It would behoove Doc to have more lineups where Ben is on the floor without Joe and let Ben get out and run. You know what I mean? Whereas right now we have Joe and Ben playing the first 9 minutes together essentially before Ben gets a couple minutes alone. And they're just playing a lot of time together. It would behoove us to have Ben spend less time. Now, maybe part of the issue is that you're afraid having Ben and Dwight together because obviously Dwight's not going to spread the floor. But Ben and Dwight as rim runners would be great. Just get on and run. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that would behoove us to do. I would like to see more staggering of the lineup. We'll see. Our next game. What is our next game? I'm not even sure. Let's see here. The next game. I'm sure this is going to be impossible to find because let me be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, it's just trash. The NBA changed their NBA app. I don't know if anyone knows about this or not. If I'm the only one who's dealing with this fucking headache right here. They changed their NBA app, and it has not been it's not been good. I'll be real with you. It just has not been good. I think we play Saturday, right? Yeah, we play the Knicks on Saturday. That should be a win. RJ Barrett yesterday played really well. Scored 20 points in the first half on like 9-9 shooting or something. He played well. We should beat the Knicks. I'm gonna be honest with you. We should beat the Knicks. They're going to be a better defensive team, obviously with Tibbs there. They have a lot of guys, a lot of length. But I mean, they're just not good. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They're just not good. We should beat the Knicks. I think. If we beat the Wizards and if Doc is here to be the coach that we believe he can be, we will not play. This is a good Brett Brown is going to lose this game. Let me be clear. This is a great game where Brett loses, But with Doc here, hopefully I think we can win. We should beat the Knicks. Listen, a lot of great basketball. I might put out another podcast tomorrow talking about the NBA. I don't know. It's Christmas, obviously, so I don't know how many guys are going to be listening to podcast on Christmas Day or what have you, or over the weekend. So we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, that's a lot of great basketball. Listen, the NBA's back. That makes me so fucking happy in this depressing ass time. There'll be a couple more podcasts coming out. I think I'm going to do a podcast breaking down Marvel coming up, some of the Marvel stuff that we should expect in the coming year, and probably like a 2020 wrap-up podcast, which will be more emotional. Not emotional, but more about, like what a year and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So other than that, obviously we know what it is. Sixers game, there's going to be a podcast for every Sixers game. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to guide you. All right, guide you through this season of ups and downs, of trials and tribulations, of watching Toby be trashed, to watching good Toby games where Toby is only good when Ben and Joe are not playing. Then maybe you need to stagger them. Maybe you need to stagger Toby from Ben and Joe. Put Toby with the bench, man. But then Toby's going to think he's Paul George again. I don't know if you want to do that. Anyway, that's it, everybody. Listen, wash your hands. You know what it is, man. COVID sucks. It's fucking terrible. You know what I mean? I think now I've had it for 2.5 weeks. Again, I tested positive this morning again, so who the hell knows? It's not fun. I don't feel great. I'm getting better. I still can't breathe great though. But it's not great. So please wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask, just wear a stupid fucking mask. It's not that important. You're not great. You are not special enough to not wear a mask. You know what I mean? Who are you? The queen, I don't know. Black Lives Matter. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. You know what it is, everyone. Stay safe out there. Take care. Yo.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhyme that are coming from my mind. Used to come